It's still rostermania this week.
Rostermania is often the most entertaining feature of the Call of Duty season, especially when shocking changes are made. Back in the early days, teams would blow up their roster every weekend, rather than predominantly in the off-season, but these are the craziest roster moves that have ever occurred between two seasons. Rumours of franchising for Call of Duty trace back to 2017. The Overwatch League was already up and running, and Activision were intending to replicate the model with the CDL. The rumours were confirmed in February 2019, but it was not yet certain how many existing CWL teams would be buying in. After the Black Ops 4 World Championship, every single player was essentially a free agent, needing to find a franchise to play under or risk not even making the league. Even if an organisation wanted to keep their roster, an entirely new brand had to be created, tied to a city. Optic Gaming were under close scrutiny after a disappointing end to 2019, winning just one event back in December 2018. But after 5 years teaming together, especially during the Dynasty days, it seemed nailed on that Scump and Crimsix would get back on a franchise together amidst the chaos, whether under Optic or another organisation. But with Optic now owned by Infinite Esports and Hex losing control, the brand was sold to Immortals, who started Optic Gaming Los Angeles, while Hex and the real Optic moved to the Chicago Huntsmen after partnering with NRG. The hush-hush around these moves left the majority of the former team in the dark, and as things continued to unfold, crimsix received a call from Hex. He was told that their potential roster did not want him on the team, despite the friendship and loyalty shown between himself and Scump over the past 5 seasons.
The man who is a 2-time world champion and holds 33 major championship wins. The most winningest player in Call of Duty esports history across 7 titles, has played for exactly 3 organizations.
Crimsix getting dropped was a shock to the entire community, but he had the last laugh in the end. After joining Dallas Empire with former sidekick Clayster and some talented young guns, he won the 2020 Call of Duty Championship with Dallas Empire, owned by Optic's at the time rivals, Envy. Crimsix made the most of the drama.
That's all white noise now. It's all behind me. But I will never forgive, and I will never forget.
Another player to catch the short end of the stick was fellow 3-time champ Damon Karma Barlow.
The 3-time Call of Duty world champion, right? The man who has been on every single Dynasty. Impact instantly went for him. He was brought in by Complexity as the replacement. He was brought in by Optic as the only choice. There was no one else who was put in contention for that spot. He was the player who those brands brought in at the peak, at a very solid moment to reach their full potential.
Often the scapegoat for Optic's shortcomings following the jetpack era, many began to suspect that they would not be working with him going forwards. But Karma at the time was the only 3-time world champion and was still a hot commodity who could command a serious salary. With Crimsix hearing the Huntsman news from Hex, he liked the idea of running it back with Karma for the Modern Warfare season. In Crim's own words, it was him, Karma, and Coach TP against Scump, Dashy, and TJ. But with a salary cap in play, this plan broke down, and the two went their separate ways. Karma ended up on Seattle Surge, on a purely veteran squad, with Apathy, Slacked, Enable, and the best men AR from the previous season in Octane. As the pros started to play the game though, it was immediately clear that it catered to aggression and utilising the movement mechanics rather than positioning. For a group of players so accustomed to playing fundamental COD, this was a recipe for disaster. As management refused to bring in a faster player to help with their pacing issues, Karma realised this was the end of the road for him. He announced his retirement mid-season on June the 4th, 2020, and has never since returned back to competing.
I genuinely hated playing it. I hated playing it, and I hated the format. So how could I even be the best? Or close to the best? Or better than shit?
Fast forward to the first off-season following the inception of franchising, and things hit the fan yet again in a big way. Alongside crimsix on the championship-winning roster in 2020 was Clayster, who went back-to-back for his second ring in a row.
With us! Three, Porter!
Clay was on top of the world. From being forced to disband the 2019 Champs team because United didn't make franchising, to winning Champs the following year with new teammates, this cemented him as one of the greatest players of all time. But the ultimate curveball was thrown his way. After 2 years of competitive Call of Duty being played with 5 players per team, the CDL decided that the experiment had failed and announced that 4v4 was returning immediately after the World Championship concluded.
Like there was so much discussion about 4v4 and from the players, and they're the ones who drove that to happen. Straight up, the owners would have been just fine playing 5v5.
This meant that 12 teams had to drop at least one player going into the next season. Just 1 day after winning Champs, Dallas decided Clayster would be the odd man out, releasing him quickly to maximize his chances to find the offer he wanted.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say right now. It's like, it pisses me off so much, man.
For the second year running, winning Champs both years, Clay was forced to find a new team. He ended up on the New York Subliners, reuniting with former teammate Zuma. On paper, a mix of experience and youth, but as Zuma soon announced his retirement from competing, it would be a winless season for Clay, as the team could not find any sort of consistency. On the other end of the spectrum, arsetis benefited greatly from the switch to 4v4. Realizing he would never reach his full potential in the flex role with Formal in the mix on Chicago Huntsman.
Those guys were some of my best friends.
We didn't want to force him to stay on our roster. He wanted to go play main AR. It happens. Everyone's happy at the end of the day.
What led to be switching to the Atlanta FaZe squad was I run flex for every year except 1 year. So it's just like one of those things that's always in the back of my head where it's like, I gotta do my thing. I want to be less stressed running an AR and be that main guy.
Despite the immense respect that the team and fanbase had for his leadership and abilities, he requested to leave the team with an opportunity arising on Atlanta FaZe to reunite with Simp and Abizi, with whom he had won the World Championship in 2019. This decision paid off in spades, as they dominated the entirety of the Cold War season, making 5 grand finals from 6 events and winning 4 of them, including arcitys' second ring. Arguably the craziest part of this move was Hex and Huntsman allowing him to walk away so easily, apparently without even a buyout required, to form a super team that would have their number all year.
There's enough time at the point, but they'll get cleared out. But look at the minimap phase are in. It's the guts. It's the glory. It's the championship for FaZe.
Legendary. I'm legendary.
I mean, what kind of pressure was that for you day in, day out, to know that, you know, a lot of fans were thinking that the success of the team, it may have been on your shoulders?
Shout out to my family, shout out to this family, and FaZe the fuck up.
There were certainly some shocking rostermanias pre-CDL, and even pre-CWL. Back in 2014, Optic had seen some success, but were still largely seen as an organisation focused on content creation. Like everyone else, they had plenty to consider going into the off-season. Nadeshot and Scump were undroppable, but Proofy and Clayster, who were loved by the Green Wall, were not guaranteed to be wearing green for the Advanced Warfare season. With Karma, recent Halo transitioner Formal, and the entire Evil Geniuses dynasty potentially up for grabs, Optic had to consider taking a step towards attempting to become a dominant force.
In the last few weeks, we have released Proofy and Clayster, and I just want to make sure that we talk about it so that you guys have a better understanding of why we made the decisions that we made. I know a lot of you guys were angry, disappointed, and upset with us.
And then it gets even crazier because about 10 seconds ago, Clayster also announced free agency.
They just said they wanted a change. Like they're, you know, we've been teaming since January, so 10 months now we've been teaming. Almost exactly 10 months we teamed together.
The 2 players that we replace them with is actually crimsix and Formal. Personally, I would like to welcome to the team. They are premier and high caliber players that you never come across, and if you have a chance to team with them, you do.
The community soon got their answer, and it was announced that Formal and Crimsix would be joining the team. This decision was met with a lot of anger from many of the Green Wall at the time, particularly at Formal. The 2014 Rookie of the Year was known for leaving his teams high and dry when things got remotely tough. He came off as heartless and maybe only out for himself. But rumour has it that it was actually crimsix who convinced Optic to sign Formal alongside him, recognising his qualities in his first season as a Call of Duty pro. Aches ended up on FaZe Clan, the first time being separated from Crim since December 2012. Crim accused Patty P of lacking effort, which seemed to be a factor in their parting ways.
I know that Pat, basically, he took the decision upon himself to stop trying, I guess you could say. Practice basically completely went to a halt, and, he basically made that decision for us that, I hate ghosts so much that I don't really care about winning anymore. And he made that decision for the whole team, and that's why.
Aches proved the doubters wrong in the opening tournament in Columbus, but these were just the origins of the Optic dynasty.
Championship! Censor an unbelievable play!
It's time to award our X Games gold medalist, Optic Gaming. Crimsix that with his medal.
Much different face than last year.
Oh yes, he's gonna have a big smile. Of course, Formal with his
7 here at MLG. Unbelievable event for Optic Gaming. And honestly, a few simple words come to mind. Best in the game, Optic Gaming. What a season they have had. This powerhouse squad was formed at the start of the year. Formal Crimsix joining Scumpy. So many titles, so many fantastic events. After COD champs, they pick up the 2-time world champ and they never looked back.
That is our top 5 for now, but seeing how the pre-Modern Warfare 2 rostermania is shaping up so far, it probably won't be long until there are new entrants onto this esteemed list. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you are new, take care of yourselves, and we shall see you next time.